Help, I'm pushing up.
Rotate.
Bruno, they're rotating back. They're rotating back.
You're gonna go. Just rotate, guys. Just rotate. Give it up. Nice. Rotate.
Greetings and welcome to episode number 10 of the rotation with Z-Hack. I cannot believe we have already made it to double-digit episodes. It's been a blast. Thank you guys for coming along for the ride, bringing your friends, family, and Call of Duty fans alike to the show, and make sure we keep it going. The rotation with Z-Hack on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube, and tweet me at ZHack16. Get connected, stay connected to the podcast. Like I said, I love you guys so much. Thank you for all the support and tuning in, and my oh my, as Macklemore would say, let me tell you, we got a lot of Stage 2 to talk about. The major has just completed and concluded. Congratulations to the Toronto Ultra on being the Stage 2 champions. So like I said, so many things to talk about on the show today. I don't want to waste any more time, so we got to hop right into some First Blood. And this topic, it's a serious one. I want everyone to focus, pay attention, and listen up when I get into First Blood here. I'm talking about mental health in gaming. Listen, mental health in gaming, mental health in general in your life, no matter what practice you're in, what lifestyle you live, what occupation you have, or wherever you are, it is serious and people need to take it seriously. If you're ever feeling alone, down, sad, don't be afraid to reach out to anybody. There are people who care about you. There are people who love you. For goodness sake, I love you, and Murphy somewhere down over here. Murph, where'd you go? Murphy, come here. Murph, right here. And Murph, we all care about you. So mental health is a serious thing, ladies and gentlemen. Take it seriously, and we've been seeing a lot of stuff come out in the Call of Duty League and the Call of Duty community. I will say this, people should not be silent. There is an absolutely idiotic stigma, in my opinion, around mental health that, first of all, you're weak if you display signs of depression or mental health where you're not feeling in the right spot. And anybody who thinks that, anybody who says you're weak because you're struggling with depression, they're an idiot. Straightforward. The brain, the human body, the mind is so complex, and we never know what is going on. So like I said, do not be afraid to talk to somebody because nobody should judge you. Listen, reach out to your friends if you think they're going through something, and don't be afraid to talk to each other about stuff. Have the hard conversations if there's something serious going on. Don't be afraid of mental health. Especially, it's becoming more prominent within the Call of Duty League and video games, and I love to see people speaking up on it. There are people out there who are absolute clowns saying, you play video games for a living, how can you be unhappy? That is ridiculous, because when you think about it, you're a professional video game player. That's awesome. You get to do what you love for a living, but think about it. You're isolated by yourself, sitting in your room, scrimming, practicing, doing whatever, especially now that COVID has happened and we're all in an online format for 8, 10, 12 hours a day. It's just you and the empty space around you. If you don't have someone to share it with, if you don't live with family, friends, a loved one, a girlfriend, significant other, think about how hard that can be on your mental state. So in general, and throughout the Call of Duty League and all esports, you play video games, you're isolated and alone for 10, 12 hours a day. The only interaction you have is with your teammates. It can be hard mentally, and you can feel alone at times. That's the first thing that makes it really hard, and why I resonate and understand what all the pros are going through. There's so much criticism from fans is the second thing. A lot of these people and fans and critics and analysis and everybody who is talking, they don't have a place to talk, even though it may be their job or something where they think that they're in the right place to criticize a player's performance and talk about them in a way that they really shouldn't. Even though you talk about it in professional sports as well, NFL, NBA, the critics, it shouldn't get to you. Listen, you're on a higher pedestal than Joe Schmo on Twitter with 10 followers and an egg as an avatar. But these players, they see those comments. They see these hurtful words being said about them and to them, and it's human nature. to be upset and sad and take that to heart and think about it. When people talk about me and say, oh, your podcast is terrible, nobody wants to listen to you, you're garbage at what you do, you don't even know anything about Call of Duty. Yeah, I want to be able to just brush them off left and right and say, okay, this guy, he's just a hater. But it's human nature to let that get into your mind a little bit. And then you start spiraling and you think, well, am I not good enough? Are they right? Should I stop? Should I give up on what I'm doing? And that causes a lot of problems. So mental health in general, in gaming, in esports, no matter what you're in, do not take it lightly and do not be ashamed if you are struggling with mental health. Everybody, listen, reach out to your friends, reach out to your family, reach out to loved ones. If you haven't talked to them in a while, just say, hey, how are you doing? Have a conversation, strike it up, because that could be such a big moment in somebody's life to help them out. We've seen monumental players in the Call of Duty League in specific talk about this lately. Clayster is the first one who comes to mind. After they got knocked out of the Stage 2 Major, he said, so sick of everything recently. Not really sure where my head's at and feeling lost for the last few months. Hope I can reset and gain some confidence and motivation, or else I don't know what's going to happen. Playing this last year online has really sucked all the fun out of it, though. Just really down with my mental health. Combination of being dropped, Tommy, aka Zuma, retiring, COVID, not seeing friends and family, not having outlets like I normally do. It's just a whole cluster bleep of things that I've really struggled with lately. I might need to take some time away. So many people got your back, Clay. So many people have reached out to you, whether you follow them, they follow you on Twitter, and you actually see what they say or not. We all care about you. The Call of Duty community, everybody does care about you. And I think that all things aside, you're the brave one here for saying something. You are the brave one for putting something out there and letting us know how you're feeling, because then that gives us the opportunity to reach out to you and help you out in whatever you're going through. So we love you, Clay. It's such a big deal to talk about this stuff, so thank you for bringing your situation to light and saying what you're saying. On top of this, we've seen a plethora of other players. Bance being one of the biggest one. His team, the Toronto Ultra, they just won the Stage 2 Major, and he came out after this. There's glory. Everyone's celebrating. It's a great feeling. You just won the brunt of a $500,000 prize pool in this tournament, and he shared with the fans and Call of Duty community and everyone. He said, after we started Stage 2 0-2, I shared this text with my significant other, and he said, I suck. I'm just bad. Maybe I should just quit and give up. And he was feeling it. I am sure that she was there for an incredible support role in his life, and she talked to him and gave great assistance to Benjamin Bance, and look what happened. He comes out, pops off, is the difference maker for the Toronto Ultra after getting that talk from her. We don't know what happened, but just for him to share that perspective of what he has been going through, like I said with Clayster, and like I'll say with him, so brave and incredibly strong to be able to do that and open the fans into his mind. Because as we all know it, the Call of Duty community, like a majority of it, sure, we're great people at sometimes, but there is a lot of toxicity in the Call of Duty League community. Not necessarily always players or anything, because I feel like a lot of them have been competing for so long to where they have great relationships, all know each other and love each other to a certain extent. Maybe there's some beef between some people, but it's mostly just these haters sitting behind a computer screen trying to get clicks and just talk a mess and smack and get in everyone's head in the league and say these things. And it's just a joke to be able to do that. So to all my players, all my casters, analysts, everybody who works with the Call of Duty League production side of things, because you all hear it too. Stay strong. We're all here for you. Find somebody to talk to. And to round out this First Blood segment, I know it's a serious one and a different angle for the podcast, but mental health is incredibly important. Take it seriously. If you're ever feeling a certain type of way, anything like that, do not be afraid to talk about it. Reach out, find someone, and get some help if you need it. I'm serious. That's where we're going to stop for the first blood segment. And now we're going to transition. We get to talk about the Stage 2 Major, everything that has happened, what I foreshadow happening, and all the good stuff that's happening around the Call of Duty League. And we're going to kick it off with the Barracks news and notes from around the league. I know we got to get around to talking about the Stage 2 Major because it was wild. There were so many storylines, Cinderella runs, teams we didn't expect to get knocked out as early as they did, just getting absolutely bodied. And let me tell you, I loved every single second of it. So I'm going to go in depth on the Stage 2 Major in a second. But first, a couple of things that came to my mind, observations and reactions that I have from what I saw. I love crowning a new champion. The Kings of the North Toronto Ultra, I love to see that. You know why? Because the Atlanta FaZe, they looked unbeatable. They looked unstoppable through Stage 1. I know we saw them fall to the LA Gorillas, but really, a majority of people probably saw an Atlanta FaZe and then either OpTic or Dallas Empire final. I love to see it mixed up because all that means is everybody in this league can compete. There are so many challenges and everybody knows how hard it is to win, but maybe we didn't feel that way as viewers and fans from our perspective after seeing how dominant the Atlanta FaZe were. I think seeing a new champion is incredible because that means anyone can do it. Next stage, it could be the Paris Legion. It could be the Seattle Surge. It could be the Florida Mutineers. Anybody has a chance, and this has shown it. It has proven that everybody has a chance to win in the Call of Duty League after we saw the Atlanta FaZe get knocked off. Because we thought they were unbeatable. We thought they were unstoppable. But the Toronto Ultra, they were able to game plan, go through VOD review, put their performance to the test, do everything perfect, have the gun skill, be feeling right on that championship Sunday, make an incredible losers bracket run, and get it done, which just makes every other team believe that they can do it now. That's an incredible thing to have 12 teams in the league, and there's a chance for every single one of them to be at the end of it every single stage. We're down 2 stages. We got 3 to go and then champs. And I'm hoping that we keep seeing new champions, new teams on top, and competition and rivalries forming left and right. I think it's incredible what's going on and how many storylines have unfolded just from crazy finishes, wild rivalries, and things of that nature throughout the Stage 2 Major. So I love to see that, and I hope we see new teams competing for the top spot every single stage because it gets different fans involved, fan bases who maybe don't have the strongest support. They're growing more because what do people gravitate towards? They gravitate towards winners. So maybe some people this past weekend who are just watching the Call of Duty League for the first time, they see the Toronto Ultra win and they go, damn, I love that guy Bance. They're going to be my new favorite team. I'm going to go buy some merch, get their CDL pack in Cold War, and they're my favorite team. It is incredible and it's beneficial to the Call of Duty League to have new teams winning, new players shining as shooting stars and popping off in the league. It's plain and simple. Having new talent, young talent, old heads, running the scene, and new teams every stage, it's the best thing that could happen. Because if Atlanta FaZe just win every single major, it'll get boring. And every championship Sunday in a major, everyone will just be like, I'm not going to tune into the file FaZe. They're just going to 5-0 somebody. And that's it. So it's so good to see somebody else win. I love it, and I hope it continues. Now it's time to go back and in a different sort of sense from what we have done, talk about roster changes, and it's basically like we can throw a grenade with it. It just says roster changes here when it explodes. Pew! Incoming! Pew! There is a lot to talk about, and there is a lot to unfold. So as we saw throughout the Stage 2 Major, the biggest one and the first one that I want to highlight is the New York Subliners. They get 3-0'd by the Dallas Empire in winners round 1, and then in round 3, they lose in game 5 to the LA Thieves, who just made an incredible losers bracket run to get to round 4 before they were knocked out by the eventual champion Toronto Ultra. But with their roster changes coming in, nobody believed them, and they popped off. Their rosters looking really good. I'm talking about the LA Thieves there. But when I say roster changes incoming, the team you look at it's the New York subliners now, because we know all the visa issues got fixed with Hydra, and he may finally get his shot to play in the league in the beginning of Stage 3. And we saw Maven tweet, he showed the Captain America meme where it just says, "Hail Hydra." And yeah, I was kind of feeling the same thing when I saw NYSL get knocked out after just playing 2 matches and get 3-0'd and 3-2'd. I was thinking, well, they didn't make it to top 4 in 3rd place, I think, like they did in the Stage 1 major. So that's the excuse they have to bring a new player in, and here comes Hydra. So what I've heard, this kid is absolutely disgusting from when he's played in the EU Challengers. Now he's been playing in the NA Challengers. I'm sure he's getting in on 8s with different teams and different combinations of players. So we'll see if Hydra gets a shot. I think the plain formula and pretty straightforward is yes, he is probably going to get a shot. Because all these teams, they want to win. They want to get those prize pools, make the money, and they underperformed from what they expected in the major. So it gives every sign and excuse, or whatever you want to call it, for them to pick up what they already have, Hydra, but put him on the starting roster. It was looking good for NYSL, and I think they were a lot of teams' favorites headed into the Stage 2 major, because we saw them drop 3-1 to Atlanta in the beginning of the stage, and after that, they looked like a dominating force. They rattled off 4 straight, beating the Thieves, Gorillas, London, and Toronto in dominating fashion, and then they got 3-0'd by Dallas, 3-0'd by LA Thieves, and it was just like, whoa, what happened there? And that was just a little bit stunning for a lot of people to see, in my opinion. So we saw that with NYSL, and now that gives you the thought process that Hydra, well, he may be coming into the roster. I got a little confused for a second there, because I'm going to show you why. I'm taking a peek at 2 different things of information right here. So looking at the CDL tweet of the bracket, they have NYSL Thieves listed as a 3-2, but then you go to All Reliable, breakingpoint.gg, and they have that series as a 3-0. And if I remember correctly, there was so much Call of Duty to consume this past week, and I think that this one may be right. It was a hot 3-0. So I think the CDL has their bracket on Twitter incorrect there with having this one listed as a 3-2, because it was decisive from LA Thieves in beating NYSL. But apart from that, yeah, it looks to me like Hydra may have a shot here in the Call of Duty League finally. Then you go and talk about, well, who are they going to replace here? What is it going to be? And there's a lot of different thoughts that you can have. So in the major, in the 2 matches you get 3-0'd, your stats aren't going to be great. So in the major, you can point at either of the SMGs in Asim and Mac and say, well, one of these guys is obviously the clear-cut one to go. I'm not the one that's making the decisions. I'm not the one who is managing for NYSL, so I'm not in the spot to say it. But I just think that Hydra may get a shot here. We may see him early in Stage 3 as that starts in just a little bit of time as we get groups announced. The next one and most recent roster change that has just surfaced last night, and then some more news coming into today, it's with the Florida Mutineers. Slacked was moved to the bench by Florida. There was no replacement officially announced, but there was a leak that Havoc was back to scrimming with these guys, and also people have been talking about Nato, aka Saints, maybe getting a shot to come back into the league for his first time in a little bit. I personally, I've been a fanboy of Havoc for as long as I can remember. All the way in Black Ops 3, I just saw him and he's something special. His IQ, his mind, the way it works in Search and Destroy and different situations in Respawn, I think that Havoc is just a really stellar player, and I was honestly a little bit disappointed that he didn't get a shot to start the season. But when you saw Neptune come in place of Havoc, it looked like the correct decision, because Neptune has been pretty stellar on the season. He has a .93 in hardpoint. He's been a great S&D player with a 1.12 KD, and then in control, he's even with that 1.0 KD. Then you look at Slacked. In hardpoint, he's struggled in that respawn and search and destroy a little bit. On the year, a .88 in hardpoint, .82 in SND, and then he picks up that Slack in control. Slack is a really good control player, and he's just a veteran. He's savvy. We know how good he's been in 4v4 throughout his career, where he's almost won a championship, I think, every single year that 4v4 has been present. So historically, Slack is just one of those guys who you feel like you're going to win if you have him on your side. It's crazy to see all of these old heads and veterans in the Call of Duty League get benched and dropped, because literally I'm watching Method stream every single week and I'm like, oh my gosh, like the Challenger scene or the 8s scene, if guys aren't electing to play in the Challenger scene, it's kind of wild how many veterans have been put in that situation and young guns have been brought up. Like you have Saints, Parasite, Aches, Mox. Then you look over at some other guys, Methods, Slasher, Slacked, dropping down now. I know Nagafin is there as well, and it's just like, holy cow. The Challenger scene or guys who are getting dropped in roster changes, it is incredible what's happening. And I've talked about it in multiple podcasts in previous times, so go back and look at those. But when we expand, if we get to 16 teams, it's going to be crazy, because all these guys are going to come back, and then some of the young guns who have been performing in the Challenger scene and in the CDL, they're going to continue to have a chance or get their first shot, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. So where I stand with Slacked, I mean, it's hard to say and it's tough to see, because a guy like that, he has so many intangibles, and it's just something where it's like, well, I feel like he's one of the guys who can make a difference on the team, but at the same time, in certain situations, he could have been underperforming. In the match against Seattle, in the control, he had a .27 KD, then a .88 throughout the series in S&D, and then he went even 1.0 in hardpoint. I know you can't completely break things down like that just on a match-by-match basis, but it has been streaky for Florida. They've been bouncing back and forth, so you could make the argument that something has to be done. You look at their 2 ARs, Awakening and Skies. Those guys are disgusting. Those are the ones that you want to build the team around. Neptune has been performing, so if there was going to be somebody to make a change around, it would have been Slacked, and that's where the team has gone. So I'll be interested to see where this goes and how they perform with that change through the coming weeks and as Stage 3 begins. But that's the next piece of news, that Slacked has now been benched. Possibly Havoc or Nato, aka Saints, is who we're going to see in place of him. The final roster change and position to talk about, well, it's something that already happened, and just as Nameless would say, it was mind-blowing to see what happened. I'm talking about 100 Thieves. They make one hell of a loser's bracket run, and I thought that Maven was going to have to get Nade Shot or 100 Thieves or whatever he agreed upon tattooed on his cheeks, and not these ones right here. Because 100 Thieves, I mean, they look stellar. Draza hopped straight on to this roster in the biggest stage possible in a major, and he said, calm, cool, and collective, baby. That kid popped off, and he looked disgusting. We knew he could do it from what we saw in Modern Warfare, but coming into this team, it was incredible to watch what he did. So him, Kenny, TJ, and Venom. Venom, another young guy who really came into his own this past major, because he made some big plays. He started performing as everybody expected and what we thought as best he could for one of the longest times that we've seen in a little bit. Because Venom, we saw him struggle in a couple maps and modes early on, and there were people throwing some dirt on his name. Listen, he showed up in the Stage 2 major and played really well, and I think that this is a testament to what we can talk about when we see roster changes in the Call of Duty League. It's not always about the talent that goes into a roster, but it really is important to have a good vibe as a team where you can all gel together, click together, and then trust in each other, believe in each other, and not have any animosity. Because you can just feel some of these roster changes that have been happening. Guys are just pissed off at each other. And for example, if you give a call out in S&D, someone's in like a 1v1 or a 1v2, and you say, yo, bro, I think he's going like top purple on Miami. You should play Garage, try and wrap around, do this. And then they don't listen to that information you feed them and just do their own thing. And it's just kind of like an FU. Like that can bring a team down. And I feel like some of that stuff has happened throughout certain rosters, And I think that that is where we've seen a couple of the changes happen, because one of the ones you look at specifically, we'll talk about it more with the Toronto Ultra coming out and winning this tournament. They really did want an all-European roster, and Methods was performing. He was popping off. He had, I think, over a 1 KD in every single mode. He, in my opinion, is one of the best ARs in the game, but just the vibes, communication, and the strategies and the way those guys click together as a full European roster, you can see it paid off. So I think that that's a huge testament to roster changes, and that can make a big difference. And in talking about the LA Thieves as I mean, they have made 2 roster changes pretty much this season. They got rid of Temp, and then they got rid of Slasher, brought in Venom, kept TJ and Kenny, and then Draza. So Draza in his time, he's held a 1 KD in Hardpoint, then a 1.1 in S&D, and a 1.02 in Control. These guys looked really smooth on the map. They played really well pregame in the veto process and what they picked, and I think that set them up for success. They dominated Paris 3-0, went the distance against London, then beat New York 3-0, and then the eventual tournament champion Toronto Ultra, they put them in their place finally. But nobody was expecting this run out of 100 Thieves, or LA Thieves, under the 100 Thieves umbrella. They really outperformed their expectations. A lot of people thought that they were going to lose to Paris on the first day. Just didn't happen. They played incredible. They looked great, and I'm excited to see what this 100T roster can do as the stage progresses into Stage 3 and as the season moves on and on. I think that depending on how teams perform, we could see a bunch more roster changes throughout the next 3 stages, which is just wild to me. Like, I don't know if you see it in some of the top dogs. Like, Dallas haven't been performing as well as they want to. You know, they want to be in the finals every single time. OpTic have had some, minor mistakes. I don't really see them just because the way that these guys are and care about each other and the vibes on their team. I don't know if I see them making any changes. And then you look at all the other teams, though, and you could see a lot happen towards the bottom half of the league when you talk about different teams. Like, you could see something happen, already has with Florida. London, Paul X. The Gorillas might have something happen. The Rokkr have already made a change. NY could have Hydra come in. I don't know about OpTic. Paris could make a change. Seattle has still not made a change. And then Toronto made the change with the Europeans and got where they wanted to be. There is a lot more that can happen with roster changes throughout the Call of Duty League. And I'm excited to see what happens, who gets a shot, and who impresses us. Now that I've gotten that opinionated topic and segment out of the way, it is finally time to talk about the Stage 2 Major, give the breakdown of things that happened, what I think about the Ultra winning, FaZe, and a bunch of other storylines, and I'm excited to jump in to the Stage 2 Major talk. So, without further ado, when I start this off talking about the Stage 2 Major, the Toronto Ultra, when they were playing this weekend, the only thing that popped into my mind was, oh my God, this team, this 4 European roster, it's giving me flashbacks of the Splice team in Infinite Warfare with all European players who just dominated through the first couple of stages and tournaments. Like, Splice was a force to be reckoned with back in IW early on, and they seemed like unbeatable. I think it was finally Luminosity that took them down at CWL Anaheim to win that event, but Splice, like, Bance was part of that team. They were looking incredible, and then he gets another full European roster, and they do it again in the Stage 2 Major. The guy is clearly a difference maker on the team, and the run that Toronto made was just stellar. Like, let's take a look at what these guys did here, as I'm going to transition this screen over for you so you can hop along. This is where the tournament started. Right there in the top left of your screen, a 3-1 against OpTic to start things off. That had everybody shocked because OpTic, even though they started the stage and had back-to-back losses, which were tough, and it was like, whoa, they're struggling. They had a lot of momentum coming into the major, and people thought that they were going to go the distance and it was going to be them versus FaZe in the finals. Nope. Toronto Ultra had a different thought early on, so they take down OpTic Chicago 3-1. They move along, then get beat by their eventual championship matchup against FaZe. They lose to them 3-1. And then they go in and just make, I mean, we've talked about it. A lot of people have tweeted it and said it. We haven't seen a crazy losers bracket run in quite some time. And I think if you're going to say anything, This squad put it together. Like on Sunday, they look special, man. And dating back to Saturday into round 4, like, I mean, they did it there. So they start off LA Thieves coming in just hot as can be. I mean, put the burner on high heat, get the water boiling. That is how hot this LA Thieves roster was coming in to round 4. Toronto Ultra said, yeah, I don't think so. We have some other ideas for you guys. And when we hop around and look at it here as this loads on breakingpoint.gg, shout out to them, like Ultra just had their way with the LA Thieves. And that's when you could kind of tell and know, like, ooh, these guys they're in a different mindset right now. So they beat LA 3-0. And after that, it was like, okay, like the LA was coming in red hot and they just got bodied by Toronto. Like, these guys look good. Kleenex, Cammy, Bance, and Insight, the new AR. Like, they're clicking well together. They look really good. We should watch out for them. Then Rokkr, we'll talk about them in a minute. But they have the stunning finish against OpTic, so that sets up Sunday. Ultra versus Rokkr in the first series of the day. Not really a big contest. I mean, Ultra again with the 3-1. And then they go on to take on the Dallas Empire, who had taken down NYSL, who were some people's favorites coming into the tournament. They take down Rokkr, exciting 3-2. They dropped to FaZe, which people expected because FaZe is just so good. But then it's like, okay, Empire are going to beat Ultra in this elimination final, and we're going to get the rematch Empire-FaZe. Psych! That's the wrong matchup! And then we see Toronto just 3-1 Empire, and people are just like, wow. You think about Krim, Illy, Huke, and Shotzi, and it's like those guys are your defending champions from MW. And those guys have like been dominant in Call of Duty throughout that entire year. And then in stage 1, they make it to the finals, almost get there again, finish 3rd. And I mean, Ultra just, they did it to them. So that sets it up. And the streak that Ultra had going on, I feel like going in to the final series against Atlanta FaZe, that was the turning point. When they beat Empire, I had the thought, I was like, whoa. Like the way that these guys look on a championship Sunday, they have all the momentum. They've played 2 series and they 3-1 both teams. I was thinking, whoa, like they may have a chance to do something special against the Atlanta FaZe. Like they look motivated. Their shots are crispy. Their strategies are working, and they're just on the same page. You can tell in every listen-in, every kill that they're picking up, every round they're winning in S&D. It was just like a head-scratcher. I was just thinking, wow, like Ultra are looking really, really good right now. They show up to the final, and before I break this one down, I do need to defend the Atlanta FaZe just a little bit. As far as I can remember, this is the first time that a team has lost a tournament after only losing that one series, the championship match. What I mean by that is most series and championships throughout Call of Duty history, when you make it into the finals from the winner's bracket, you get the reset. If you lose the first series, you go into a second best of 5, best of 7, whatever it is, but you get a second chance to regain. In this best of 9, I think we need to switch the format still, because the Atlanta FaZe, they're not really getting a big advantage, because in the best of 9, I think what still is the advantage for the winner's bracket team is they get to pick like the first veto or get an extra veto. That's not too big of a change. If you look at it the way I do, it's almost more of an advantage for the Toronto Ultra or other teams to come out of the loser's bracket. Because when you think about it, they get warmed up and they play 2 matches that matter. Hint, hint, that matter on Championship Sunday, and then they're hot coming into the final. I know that FaZe were still scrimming in the morning and playing all day to get warmed up, headed in to the championship final, but it's not the same when there's no weight on it. Like Ultra fighting for their life in the losers bracket versus FaZe just scrimming a couple of teams to get warmed up for the final, it has a different stigma around it. So we need to give the team that comes from the winner's bracket a better advantage, plain and simple. Put them up 1-0 in the series or make it so they get an extra life, basically, and make it 2 best of 5s. We have to figure out something to give a bigger advantage to the team that comes from the winner's bracket. Regardless, it is what it is. That's what the rules are right now. Deal with it. So, not making any more excuses for the Atlanta FaZe. That's just my thought of what it should be, but I am not taking any credit away from the Toronto Ultra. This series was incredible. What they say, search and destroy, wins championships. Toronto Ultra looked absolutely dominant in the SNDs in this series. We saw Bance go just absolutely perfect on the Express S&D, make the huge plays with the artillery. We saw him choke it on the Moscow in the round 11, I believe it was, because I think, if I remember correctly, I know it was just yesterday, but I think on the Moscow, in Search and Destroy, they were up 4-0. The Atlanta FaZe were. And Toronto came storming back, forced it to a round 11, and then after that, it was just like, oh, wow. That round 11, holy smokes. The Ultra just kind of lost their ways with that one. So when that happened, you were thinking that the Ultra could be a little degraded and a little bit deflated, if you will. So as we pull up this match so you can look along in the statistics with me, I mean, we know he was the man of the match. Look at Bance, man. Absolutely incredible what the guy did. A 1.4 overall KD. Absolutely stunning. Claps up and hats off to Bance. So I talk about, where is it? So the Miami SND Ultra, they looked really good on it. They looked pure. Cameo was the one who popped off there. He found streaks. And I thought for a second they were going to fall apart there. I think Simp started this map 0-4 and then picked it up, got back in his form, picked up a few more kills, but it was just too little too late. So Ultra were just on top too early. Cameo was streaking. They played around that. They were in control the whole time. Talking about the next Search and Destroy on Moscow, yeah, I think to break it down, how things happened, I recall Atlanta FaZe, they went up 4-0. And then Ultra just started firing back and battling back, force it to a round 11, and they just lose it big there. So like I said, Search and Destroy wins championships. That's the biggest thing to me, and take a look at it. 6-3 in favor of the Ultra. 6-5 in favor of FaZe, but guess what happened next? 6-0 the Toronto Ultra. They get the advantage in the Search and Destroy. They're gonna win the championship. Plain and simple. We saw this first hardpoint. It was tight, and FaZe looked really, really good. Like aBeZy showed up here, him and Celium, the damage that they combined for, it was just the thought in the back of your mind that you were like, whoa, these two guys are popping off early. Simp still put in a good amount of damage. It was like, yeah, FaZe came out swinging. They came out to play. But then you look at the stat line for Toronto Ultra, and then you watch the gameplay. It just came down to a couple of rotations and holding spawns in certain situations, and that's what the difference maker was for Atlanta FaZe in this first hardpoint. If this would have been a blowout, I'm dead serious. I believe if this first map would have been like a 100-point club or a 250 to like 105 over Ultra, I think that would have set the tone for the rest of the series. They would have gotten deflated and fell apart. But at this point, they believed that they could hang with FaZe in the respawns, and that's what they did when we hop on to checkmate control. We know that Toronto, they like that map, and they showed why. Talking about all the teams real quick, I love how big the veto process has come because everyone's discovered what maps other teams are good on, other teams are bad on, and you literally play a mind game before your match starts in the pick and ban phase with vetoes of maps to take control. And you say, listen, we're not playing them on this map. That's our first veto. And what that does is that opens it up and it makes teams who are better at multiple maps in multiple modes, it just makes them better, plain and simple. So I love how we saw that, and that's what Ultra showed on the checkmate control. So right here, they go up 2-1 in the series, and that's the situation where I think if FaZe start with a 1-0 advantage, then that evens it up at 2-2. That would be huge. Regardless, they win the search, win the control, and then we go into the Apocalypse hardpoint. There were some times in this map where it was tight, but I mean, when you think about it, just how talented the SMG duo of aBeZy and Simp are for Atlanta FaZe in a map as tight as Apocalypse and how run and gun in close quarters it is on the hills in certain situations. Like the map is bigger than it looks like, but the gunfights and engagements you find yourself in, they're all tight. like P1, P2, and P3. And then you even go over to P4 and P5, like literally every single point. I just had to go through all of the rotations in my head. Like they're all close quarters gunfights on Apocalypse. What is that going to happen for a good SMG duo? They're going to go 26 and 15 and 18 and 13 like Simp and Abizi did. So they dominate there, even the series up, and then they get the huge round 11 win in Search and Destroy. This is what felt like could have been a turning point in the series when they popped off there. And it was like, whoa, they win the round 11. That's big. Makes them look like they're in a good spot. And then what happens? Just a dominating performance by Bance on the raid control. And we know how much that the Ultra love this map. And that's why you only see it played once in the series. FaZe had to get it away somehow. So they waited for a control in the later stages because maybe they quite possibly thought that they could have won in the first 5 maps and picked up a 5-0. I don't know. But, I mean, Bance, 23 and 12, positive 11, dealing the damage, and CleanX just played huge as well. On this map, this is where we saw some insane plays and a wild finish from CleanX, where I think he ended on like a 6 or 7 streak over by mid-steps and poolside. Like, CleanX went absolutely insane in the final stages of this game, and then Bance was just Mr. Steady Eddie for the remainder of it. Like, he was consistent throughout the entirety of it, and that big momentum shifter play from CleanX towards the end, like, it just sealed the deal for them and made them happy. After that, who was the star of the game yet again in Search and Destroy on Express? What do you know? It's the man himself, Benjamin Bance. 10-0, flawless. Woo! That was a fun performance to watch, man. He gets streaks. He clutches a 1v1 against Celium. Just makes a huge play. Calls the artillery. Predicts that Celium is going to go and try and defuse the bomb right when the artillery finishes up. Picks up the kill. And it's just incredible. The IQ of Bance in this situation, it came through in full effect. And I'm going to talk to the man directly and apologize in just a minute, but I want to get through breaking down this series first. That was an incredible performance in Express S&D for Bance. And then finally, to seal the deal, we know that the Checkmate, we're kind of sick of watching it because we have so much. We've missed out on more Garrison and played more Checkmate in Stage 2. FaZe, they haven't liked it too much, and as you can see, they didn't here as well. Bance again goes huge, a 1.53. CleanX and Insight and Cammy, they all help out and do their part as well. And these guys, like, they all just played off one another. And it was just, like, incredible. Like I said, when beginning to break this down, like Toronto Ultra, the way they were playing on Sunday heading into this finale, you thought that something was different. It was like, whoa, these guys are clicking and they are feeding off each other. It's like you almost feel like they're making the call out they need to 10 seconds earlier than they needed to make it. And the play calls were flawless. The strategies were incredible, and it showed through. So they win it in 8, 5-3, and the Toronto Ultra are your Stage 2 champions. Congratulations to them. They played absolutely incredible. It was so fun to watch, and it's great what they did. And I love to see how the guys from Atlanta FaZe are already tweeting, losing is the best motivation. We're back, we're ready, and we're coming out firing in Stage 3. But I'm giving credit to Toronto Ultra where it is due, and I'm singing my praises to them because people doubted them. But they had a plan. They wanted an all-European squad. They caught a lot of flack for it when methods got dropped. And they came through. The communication was there. The vibes were there. The strategies, the way they're clicking, the way they're feeding off of each other. It shows through. It's incredible. Shout out to Methods as well for being so kind to these guys. He said, listen, it stings a little bit watching it, but I'm proud of you boys. It's great for them. The all-European roster works out, the changes they made, the criticism they had. They fought through it. All their players performed how they needed to. And congratulations on winning the Stage 2 major, Toronto Ultra. I talked about it just a second ago. That Bance, congratulations to you for being the Scuff game, or excuse me, getting my sponsors wrong because I know Scuff and Astro are so big to them. You were the player of the stage in Stage 2, and that one brought to you by Astro Gaming. And listen, I'm going to be dead serious, and you guys know my biggest definition of the rotation with Z-Hack is I'm going to be unapologetically truthful to myself and to others. And I will call out myself when I need to. I will dish criticism on myself when I need to. The biggest thing for me in life in general is accountability, and I hold myself accountable. What I'm talking about is Bance ate so much criticism through the beginning of stage 2 and after stage 1 when Methods was the one who got benched. Excuse me, talking about Bance. Bance ate so much criticism from the public eye, from analysts, and from myself included when Methods was benched and when Toronto were underperforming at the beginning of stage 2. My take, it was strictly performance-based. I had nothing against Bance, and my logic behind everything was, listen, Cammy and Kleenex, they've shown signs of brilliance. They've performed really well. And Methods, he was playing well. He was being the difference on certain maps, had a 1 KD. If anybody was underperforming, I didn't really think Toronto needed to make a roster change early on, but I did say that if I saw a team doing it, it would be them. I didn't think it was going to be Methods. I thought performance-based, it would have been Bance. Now, with that being said, I wasn't like some of you idiots out there just talking complete smack about the guy and saying he's awful. I just said if Toronto was going to make a change, performance-based, Cammy and Kleenex, they have big potential. Methods is performing well. If you're going to choose someone, I would choose Bance. I am glad they didn't. Marky B and the guys, they had a strategy. They had an idea. You want to get him with an all-European roster, and I talked about it. It is signs of splice from IW. You get him comfortable with fellow Europeans, playing with people he likes. The communication is there. There's nothing wrong with the comms, the accents that come through. I don't really know if that is actually a big problem. I feel like it could be when chaos ensues. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's a huge problem. But the fact of the matter is, maybe these guys are just more comfortable playing a full European squad, and it works out. So I'm one of the ones that I'll hold myself accountable. I apologize for saying that the roster change I would have made would have been Bance, because he was absolutely incredible throughout the end of stage 2, through the stage 2 major, and that is why he was your player of the stage. Congratulations, Bance. I'm so excited to see you performing well, because you've been one of those players since I've been watching the Call of Duty World League, the MLG days and everything. I've watched you and I thought you were special, and I love to see you succeed, love to see you winning a championship and still here. So congratulations. I love to see it. Talking about Ultra, talking about FaZe, all in all, thank you to both teams. You gave us one hell of a series. It was insanely competitive. We just broke it down back and forth throughout the entirety, and I'm so glad that we got a tight series, a 5-3. Because I thought we could have gotten a 5-1, a 5-2, something huge again where anybody got destroyed. This was fun to watch so much in a best of 9. So thank you to both of your rosters and your teams to making it as competitive possible. And it was just incredibly fun to watch as a fan. I'm sure it was fun for Miles and Chance to cast, and everyone in the Call of Duty League enjoyed it. Players, fans, everyone alike. This is what I want to see for the rest of the season. So thank you so much. As I stray away now from the FaZe Ultra Final, there's a couple more things that happened throughout the Stage 2 Major that we have to talk about. And the one that I'm going to highlight, and I'm going to have a lot of opinions coming through here, so let me know what you think on Twitter at ZHack16, ZHACK16. Also, tell me what you think. Give me your reaction to what I'm saying. Give me your thoughts, criticism, whatever you have. But I'm talking about OpTic. So we all know what happened to them. They're playing the Minnesota Rokkr in the losers bracket. First of all, when they got beat by the Ultra in the winners round, everyone was just shocked because we thought that OpTic were going to make a big winners bracket run, and I thought that they were going to be in the final. The momentum that they brought into the Stage 2 Major, they looked really good. And then we see them take on the Minnesota Rokkr. It was one hell of a series, incredibly competitive, tight the entirety of the way. I was on the edge of my seat. My palms were sweating. I felt like I was there. I felt like I was playing in it, and I felt the nerves of all these guys. So it was just, once again, one of the most competitive series of the season, and it was awesome to watch. At the end of it all, in my opinion, just a monumental mistake and collapse from OpTic Chicago. And I know that they already know this. I'm not here to talk smack like some of you other people and critics, and we'll get into that whole mess in a second of why you guys are just ridiculous. The way you talk trash and how toxic you are, it kills me. But analyzing it, it was just a huge collapse from OpTic. You're talking about it literally 2-2, Moscow S&D, round 11. As far as you can go in the series, that's where we are. OpTic get the advantage. They have the 3-1 after Scump picks up the big kill on attach over by Eskies. You heard the announcers call it, and listen, we can look at everything hindsight 2020. We are not the ones competing. We're not there in the moment. So people were giving criticism to Envoy because he pushed through, he chowed, got killed by accuracy, and that put things down to a 3v2, and then Scump brought it to a 3v1 when he killed attach. So some people are saying just play the lives, hold the A site. Envoy should have never pushed that. Hindsight's 2020. We don't know what the comms were. He could have been looking out, trying to hold a spawn, see if accuracy would have been rotating from over by the B site, or if him and attach were coming to get together through back spawn. And the timing, that's just how it ended up for Envoy. But when you get into the 3v1, it just looked like a little bit of a cluster from OpTic, and it hurt my soul so much for these guys because I know how much they pour into everything, how hard they work. And in that situation, when you're in a 3v1, S&D on defense, staring it down, sorry, they were on offense. They were attacking. You just have to think, we get bombed down, play the trade, and let's go. We're on to the next matchup. We pick up a big win. That's what you have to be thinking when you have that huge numbers advantage in the 3v1 situation if you're OpTic. And oh my gosh, my stomach dropped when it happened. I was heartbroken for all the guys because as a competitor myself, I know what it feels like to lose. But to lose in a way like that when you should win, it hurts. This play will go down in Call of Duty history as one of the craziest things to happen of all time. So accuracy pushes street and the monumental collapse comes in from OpTic. They stack and just line up like ducks in a row. Accuracy turns the corner and all he does is just aim down sight, pull the trigger, and he just three pieces the OpTic guys. And it was, in the moment, one of the most insane things we've ever seen in an esport, let alone Call of Duty. That play itself will go down in the Hall of Fame Museum, and we're going to talk about it for years and years. And after it happened the next day, I love the attitude that Envoy has. He tweets, he said, wow, turn into the first 15 minutes of the broadcast and see us getting three-piece to get knocked out every time. And it's just like, oh man, I feel so bad. But just a great personality to be able to, joke about yourselves. But I do want to talk about this situation, in my opinion. And this is going to be a hot take, and I want to know what you guys think. Listen, Lamar, accuracy, I love you. I think you're a beast. You're a great player. But I think if we're weighing this situation, it was an OpTic collapse more than it was Lamar making a big play. If accuracy would have 1v3'd them in like a bunch of individual gunfights, or if OpTic had one guy stacked on A-bomb, one on Eskies, and one street, and he just went brr, 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 and just with one clip just pieced them in different directions, then I would have been like, accuracy is the GOAT. That was an incredible play. But that's not my opinion on this one. My opinion on this one right here. Give me a second. Let me come right back. My opinion on this one, OpTic, they came out and they handed, oh no, backwards headset like Envoy. OpTic came out and they handed you the 3v1 on a plate. I mean, it was incredible. It's going to go down in Call of Duty League history. And listen, accuracy, he played the situation perfect. He could have looked down steps to the right and just gotten bodied right away. He did play the situation perfectly. He looked left, but all three of them just fed on a silver platter to accuracy, stacked on one another, and just all he did was hold the trigger and piece them. So while it was an incredible play and he read it perfectly, I think grading it on the tail of two sides, it is more of an OpTic collapse than it was an accuracy huge clutch. OpTic cost it in the situation, but regardless, a huge play shout out to you, Accuracy. I'm giving you credit because it was an incredible play. It's going down in a museum, and I'm going to watch it again and again and again because in the moment, Stage 2 major, in a major championship, like, it's incredible to watch. It was a lot of fun. I'm just saying they lined up for you and handed it to you. That's all I'll say about the situation itself. And then we all know what unfolded after that. So what happened from there is the Minnesota Rokkr tweet. Since then been deleted, but if you didn't see it, let me see if I can find it here. What essentially happened was that it was just the Minnesota Rokkr, after that 3v1, 1v3, whatever you want to call it, after that happened, they go out and their social media team member screenshots the death cams or the actual cams of OpTic when they're all just like this, just heartbroken. And they said something along the lines of, we're witnessing a collapse, hashtag brick by brick. And yeah, not too sure if that is the one that you want to be tweeting out there. So you guys can go find it. I can't find it because I know they deleted the tweet, but I know a lot of people have also tweeted it. Here we go. So they tweeted this. We are witnessing a breakdown, hashtag brick by brick, using OpTic's tag. And it was all 4 of their face cams, not just formal, and all of them had faces like this. Now, from that, I'm not even on here. Let me get this up for you. So this is what they tweeted. They tweeted, we're witnessing a breakdown, hashtag brick by brick. And it was, this is what it was. So, yeah, not too great, and I'm gonna talk about this and break down the situation from multiple angles, like a lot of people have already. But it just goes back to what I say every single week, that the Call of Duty community is so toxic. After that happens, Minnesota tweet that, and first of all, you're out of line. Listen, I'm all for the trash talk in the Call of Duty League. And we need it. We need the storylines. We need the trash talk. We need players talking to each other. When OpTic in the past have 3-0'd FaZe and we have the meme of Scump going like that. I mean, holding up the 3 and the O and making that face with his glasses like falling off his nose. Like, they do that. And when you look across the stage on LAN at Clayster and go, choke, choke. Like, that's the kind of trash talk we need. We don't need it coming from org to players, though. In my opinion. Listen, at the end of the day, you are not the one competing. You have no place to say it. Even if Accuracy was like a villain in the league and said, haha, you guys choke, get smoked, haha, I 1v3'd you, choke, look at your face cams, heartbroken, you should be. Like, if he tweeted something like that, it's trash talk. But for it to come from the organization, I don't know about that. If Accuracy were to say something, that'd be something. But as an organization, Hex has talked about it, Scump has talked about it, and people have been calling them soft, and just shut up. Just shut up. You're saying, oh, you're soft. I mean, think about how you would feel in that situation. Put yourself in their shoes. Because you as a critic, you're probably never going to be a professional Call of Duty League player because you're not good enough. But think about when you played Little League Baseball, and you were up to bat, bases loaded, 2 outs, and you strike out. Or you put yourself in the flip role of that, you're pitching and you give up a grand slam when your team's up by 3 and you lose the game. Yeah, you'd feel pretty crappy too, and you wouldn't like someone taking your pitcher crying and saying, you choked, you gave up a 3-run shot, what a breakdown on the mound. So put yourself in their shoes. Coming from the organization, not something that should have happened. If Accuracy or someone said something, I would have been okay with it. I would have been a little better with it. But as an organization, tweet the praise of your team. If you literally just tweeted the video of Lamar 1v3ing and then the cams and the audio of your guys going, oh my God, let's go. What a clutch. Oh my God, I can't believe it. And you do that and say like the ice out of Accuracy, we beat OpTic off of this round 11 1v3. That's acceptable. But the way that you did it, not great. Since then, they've apologized for it. Honestly, this is something I'm big on. I'm big on accountability and the way I feel about apologies. That one doesn't mean a whole lot to me. You said it. You apologized basically because you were getting flack and you were forced to apologize for it. Doesn't mean a whole lot to me. But since then, the beef has been squashed between the two teams. Everyone has said their piece, spoken about what they wanted to speak about. But listen, I'm all here for the trash talk and the storylines from player to player. If someone smokes TJ throughout a map and holds him to like double negative, then talk trash to TJ on Twitter. Say you're trash, bro. Look at this. And post a clip of you piecing him time and time again on a spawn trap. But an organization doing something like that, you're part of the team, but you're not participating in the actual event like the team is. So that's my 2 cents on that. Make it about your organization. Tweet the clip of accuracy, making the big clutch. Doesn't need to be attacking the other team when those guys are going through a hell of a lot of emotions and feeling terrible. Plain and simple. We've been talking for about an hour now. I could talk forever. There's a lot more I could probably get into. Those are the big storylines I take away from the Stage 2 Major. And we have one last segment to get into. So let's hop right into it. Without further ado, you already know what time it is. Who's the best in the game? The man bounces back from thinking he was terrible. Everyone's saying he should have gotten dropped. Getting all the criticism. Everyone telling him that he sucks, shouldn't be on a professional roster, can't do it anymore, you're washed, you're not good enough. And what does he do? He comes out and proves everybody wrong in a dominant fashion in the Stage 2 Major. It was your Astro player of the stage in Stage 2. Who's the best in the game? It is Bance. He had a huge series against the Atlanta FaZe, and you look at the stats for his entire Stage 2 Major. A 1.11 KD, 1.06 in the hardpoint, 1.42 in the S&D, and a 1.12 in control. The man took over, smoked everybody in sight, rose to the occasion, made plays under pressure, hit his shots, made the call-outs, and that's why he's the best in the game. Benjamin Bance, hats off, Turtle Beach headset, off to you, my friend. You are the best of the game through the Stage 2 Major. Congratulations to Bance and all of the Toronto Ultra on winning the Stage 2 Major. I am so excited for what's to come in Stage 3. The storylines continue to unfold. We're going to see a lot of big stuff happening, and I just cannot wait. Thanks so much, everybody, for making it 10 episodes with me. It's insane. We've made it 10 episodes through the rotation with Z-Hack. Make sure you share it with your friends, family, Call of Duty fans on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. It's the rotation with Z-Hack at ZHack16 or Zach Warhack. You can find it any of those ways, so make sure you do it. Thanks so much again, everyone, for tuning in. Congratulations to the Toronto Ultra on being your Stage 2 Major champions, and we'll see you next time. Peace.